Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London for your international news around the world in 5. US President Donald Trump has threatened to deploy heavily armed soldiers and law enforcement to stop violence in cities across the country after nearly a week of protests that were sparked by the death of African-American George Floyd. 4 police officers have been shot and injured during unrest in St. Louis in Missouri. Meanwhile, in New York, the iconic department store Macy's was broken into and a Nike store was looted, while other shop fronts and bank windows were smashed. Australia has announced it is investigating a US police attack on 2 Australian journalists outside the White House, with the foreign minister expressing strong concern about the assault caught live on camera.
My fellow Americans.
After being criticised for his silence on the worsening crisis, Donald Trump gave a nationwide address from the White House garden as police fired tear gas on peaceful protesters outside the fence.
First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled.
Meanwhile, politicians across Africa have condemned the killing of George Floyd. The former Beninese president, Nicéphore Soglo, said enough is enough, while Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo tweeted, "We hope the tragic death of George Floyd will inspire a lasting change in how America confronts the problems of hate and racism." Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam has accused foreign governments of double standards in their reaction to Beijing's plans to impose national security laws on the city, pointing to anti-police brutality protests in the US. Lam has said that US President Donald Trump's plans to end the city's special trading status with the US in response to China's security law would be self-defeating. She took aim at the Trump administration for its own response to racial justice protests across the United States. India has begun preparations to face a cyclone that is expected to hit the country's west coast on Wednesday. It is expected to make landfall near India's financial capital of Mumbai and will put pressure on emergency services already struggling with the coronavirus outbreak. Last month, a powerful cyclone in the eastern state of West Bengal caused damage of $13 billion to infrastructure and crops and killed more than 100 people in India and Bangladesh. The World Food Programme has warned that an already fragile food security situation in eastern Africa is being threatened by a gridlock at borders amid coronavirus restrictions. At Kenya's border with Uganda, a queue of lorries stretched 60 kilometres long. Uganda started imposing restrictions at borders after incoming drivers from Kenya and Tanzania tested positive for COVID-19 in April. Yet these measures have doubled the time it takes for goods to travel across the region. A live streaming TV show has provided medical workers in Africa with the opportunity to have real-time interactions with Chinese experts.
COVID-19.
During the interaction, Chinese doctors share their experiences in treating the virus and answer questions from online viewers. All the medical workers in Africa who have participated have spoken highly of the experience and have said they have learned new measures on how to deal with the virus. Meanwhile, hospitals in Rwanda have deployed anti-epidemic robots in a bid to minimise contact between patients infected with the coronavirus and medical workers.
Hello, I am ready to use. I am at your service.
These robots, donated by the United Nations Development Programme, have carried out simple tasks like taking temperatures, monitoring patients and delivering video messages and feedback between doctors and patients. France has rediscovered its cafes and restaurants after 10 weeks of closures to prevent the spread of COVID-19, with clients savouring coffees and croissants on sunny terraces in the French capital, Paris. With the number of new infections from the virus declining, France's government has ruled that from Tuesday, restaurants and bars could reopen and the ban on travelling over 100 kilometres could be lifted. A similar story has played out in the Spanish capital, Madrid, where residents have enjoyed outdoor activities as the country emerged from its coronavirus lockdown after almost 3 months. And finally, a Romanian shoemaker from the Transylvanian city of Cluj has come up with the idea of long-nosed leather shoes to help keep people apart and respect the rules of social distancing. The shoemaker, Grigor Lup, has said that if two people wearing his size 75 shoes face each other, there would be an almost 1.5 metre distance between them. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.